Welcome back to Unbuckling the Bible Belt. This is episode 69, ladies. This is your co-host, Adam Fusion, and this morning we're going to be waking you up to an hour of hot, secular, mental sex. We're going to keep up our conversation with our free-thinking friend through it's the Felix Unhinged. Dion brought us on a really, really good interview, and it was freaking hot. He just adds and builds on towards a more free-thinking situation to what Avery brought to the table last week. He was awesome, and I thank him for coming on the show, and I hope he'll come back. And Kate and Sharon are here, and Kate's going to talk to you about the new secular feminism thing. Go on, Kate, do your thing.
Okay. So I went on the Promoting Secular Feminism podcast that's featuring Ms. Behaven, Demand a Right, and God. Yeah, right. God, the producer. They had me on. It was their anniversary episode, which was kind of exciting. In particular, we were hanging out, speaking on the whole problem with trying to get a hysterectomy, tubal ligations, basically being in control of whether you want to breed or not, let alone just get birth control. So it was a really informative, really good conversation. We covered all kinds of different topics, not just, it's not fair, we can't get our hysterectomies, but just gender roles in general and how women today are still not exactly treated as equals, let alone individuals. It's like, even if there's not a baby in our uterus, we're still a woman in her uterus,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a sign in town on one of the local churches I saw the other day. They change their sign every 2 weeks, and it said basically dogs have more rights than babies, and that's all it said on the church billboard. I knew where they were going with that.
Yeah. It's
but,
just like,
yeah, I know. This is right here in Gallatin, Tennessee, but it is what it is. But it's all over the place down here. It's still a uphill movement.
Oh, it is. So definitely check this out. It's Promoting Secular Feminism. You can go to promotingsecularfeminism.com, and they have like the current episodes right up on the main page when you get there. Along with, they also have like a quiz show. They're going to like reflect on the past year, have a little behind the podcast discussion too, I think is what they had going on. So lots of cool stuff going on over there. Definitely something to check out.
And guys, I don't want to fail to mention a couple things about Dion. He is a 4-tour Iraqi vet. He's also a psychologist, so he's bringing a lot of information and points of views to the table.
Yeah, I mean, he's not, like we were telling him in last episode 68, he's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum than what Avery is. Dion McNeil, like we said, he's Felix Unhinged. He really has some different takes on things. Like, the thing that stuck out in my mind the biggest, and folks will find out, is his views on racism and oppression in social justice warriors.
He considers racism, which is not what traditionally we consider racism, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, he brings home a completely different point of view. I completely love this interview. It's going to be fantastic.
It will, and it's a two-parter again. It's going to be a cliffhanger this week, folks, because we don't want your ass to go numb, and needing to go pee. It's just, we're going to break it into two like we did with Avery, so we got some other fun stuff to talk about. Right, Sharon? I was so happy when I saw this.
Contusions.
And Adam has experience. Yes.
You said something about ass going numb, and I'm sitting here looking up anal lube. I'm sorry.
Look up cock contusions, because that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. You'll find some pretty
contused cock.
Oh, God.
Thank
Hang
you.
on for this
and
shit,
And it's from all people. Dennis Rodman gave us some inspiration. And all I'm going to say, folks, is just imagine playing submarine dive from across the room. Oh, my God. That was Whoa.
Wow.
So, yeah, we'll have fun with that tonight. And
so basically we got a show about hot sex, but we're going to start off with a big black dude who's going to interview and give us a different point of perspective.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Definitely so. Definitely so. And I don't know, guys, if we have time, maybe we might talk about the romping through the Scientology church nearby my home.
Oh, where did you get busy again?
She didn't get busy.
Who did I take with me? Yeah. Yeah, Adam Collins and I were up to some shenanigans again.
Oh, yeah, Adam Collins, Mr. Naked Dude on his desk, romping around Scientology church, and nothing happened. Sure, I believe that shit.
So, yeah, we might have time to talk about that today. If not, we'll definitely hit it up on next episode. But I have a feeling we'll have time. How obsessed with broken penises can you really be?
I don't know. I'm pretty obsessed with penises, so.
It's like a morbid curiosity, isn't it? Like the whole Black Madonna thing.
Bones.
Spoiler for the second half. Yeah, penis bones. I know, wasn't that a weird picture? I didn't get that. All right, folks. Well, let's roll this bitch. Let's get going.
Yeah, I guess I'll stick around for this fucking shit. Welcome back to Unbuckling the Bible Belt. This is your co-host, Adam Fusen. We're fixing to jump off into an interview with my boy Dion. He's going to lay down some truth for you. In the meantime, just hang on, and we're going to take you back to 1988 when there was a different Black Lives Matter movement call to action type shit. Take you back in the day, baby. Hold on.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad cause I'm brown. And not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Fuck that shit cause I ain't the one for a punk motherfucker with a badge and a gun to be beaten on. And thrown in jail, we can go toe to toe in the middle of a cell. Fucking with me cause I'm a teenager with a little bit of gold and a pager. Searching my car, looking for the product, thinking every nigga is selling narcotics.
And welcome back, everybody. As promised, I hope you enjoyed that second half of Avery's interview. I know we had to leave it off like a cliffhanger last week, and then we got to let you finish this week because we try to keep the show at an hour so people can have a live, go pee, and, that kind of thing. But in looking back on having Avery on, we realized we needed to have another view in this hugely layered spectrum, don't you think, guys?
Absolutely.
I think so.
And that's why I thought, who better than to get Phalanx Unhinged on himself? Dion, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing great. Still black. Still hot in South Carolina.
It's hot in Georgia, too.
It's up here, too. It's 105 tomorrow, which I know feels like a cool down compared to you guys, but, man. I'm glad I'm on the north side of Kentucky and not the south, or I'd be just as miserable, probably.
Well, welcome to the show, man. We're excited to have you on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
All right, so I was born and raised in South Carolina, in Columbia area, the capital. I grew up in a neighborhood known as Meadow Lake. To tell you, give you a pretty good breakdown of how bad the neighborhood that I lived in was. When I was 5 years old, I watched my mother get shot 4 times in her back, and she actually lived. And we used to leave flour on the back porch to see if someone was breaking in at night. So I've had a pretty rough childhood. That's what kind of makes me more great for working with kids when I worked at Department of Juvenile Justice here. I am a rape victim. I am a domestic violence victim. I'm a victim of assault. I've been shot before. I'm a combat veteran. I spent 4 years of my adult life in combat.
How long were you in the military?
8 years.
Wow.
And 4 of those were in combat.
Yeah.
And you said you're the son of a minister as well, aren't you?
As a minister, yeah, and I'm actually an atheist.
I was about to say, how did you end up on an atheist podcast as the son of a minister?
Well, the thing is that when you are exposed to the extremes of religion, you tend to turn back. Like, for example, I arrived in Afghanistan a Muslim because I actually converted from Christianity to Islam. I arrived there a Muslim, and I left there an atheist.
Oh wow!
So when you see the real Islam,
Mm-hmm.
you will say fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're not the only one I've heard
say that.
Yeah.
I've met Christians that have gone over who have come back atheist as well. It was a real eye-opening awareness adventure that I don't think they don't ever prepare you for that, do they?
No, they just they train you, but there's no kind of training that you can give somebody to watch somebody else get blown up. I mean, there's no training you can give somebody.
No, absolutely not. So. And I'll tell you, Sharon and you then have something in common as far as living with, I'm sure PTSD. I'm sure you've got some take back from that. I mean, Sharon's husband, she knows I'm living, with someone who deals with that. I've known him for almost 7-8 years now. Saved me somebody. So, man, you're in good hands in this group. Go ahead, Sharon. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say my husband is a combat veteran from Afghanistan as well. He did 2 tours, I believe.
Yeah, that's how long my roommate did, was 2 tours, and the fact his political views have really evolved since he's been over there as well.
Right. I
got to say, I'm sure he's gained some tolerance, because it sounds like it from conversations we've had from before and after when he went. So
the thing I want people to understand is that, people will call me a conservative, and it's like, I'm not a conservative. Mm-hmm. I'm not a conservative who is pro-LGBT, who is an atheist, who is, really, that sounds like a fucking conservative. No.
Yeah, they're calling you a conservative because you're not radical enough is what it is, isn't it?
Right. And it's so baffling when people have this tribalism and this collectivism, right?
Yes.
When people think that because you're black, you have to have a certain opinion. I recently had a conversation with my brother, and I'm going to share something about him later on that makes me, that will make you understand why I actually hate him. When I was discussing a video that I had done on a YouTuber known as Cynthia G, who put in her video that white people are demonic spirits.
Oh,
and I literally quoted her. I put in a clip of that.
Hold on. You're saying she went Jim Carrey's White Devil?
Pretty much.
Oh my gosh.
Much.
Oh wow.
I was discussing that with him, and I told him, I said, she said this, and he's like, well, you have a different opinion, so you don't have blackness. And I'm like, what?
No true Scotsman on you, really?
Well, he's a high school principal. Jeez. That's what makes it worse.
Jeez. Oh, wow.
So that person is in charge of children.
Oh my gosh. I can feel your pain with that. My mom, she's a creationist. She taught first graders for 32 years. And she was a Pentecostal. So I don't know how the hell she managed to she got away with teaching. I don't get it either. She shouldn't have been in charge of kids, in my view. But
well, I'm a 4th grade teacher, and I have to tell you, it's very easy to keep my atheism separated from my educational life. I don't know how it is for other people, but for me, it's very easy.
Well, I mean, you're not required to proselytize, though. You know what I mean? It's not like...
But I want to proselytize. These kids will come in and, want to pray for me and want me to have prayer with them.
And you want to show them that study that prayer makes things worse?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You heathen!
I know, right? Facts. At a school.
Infidel. Oh, man.
So anyway, as you can tell, it's going to be a lively night tonight. So any of you, is there anywhere you want to start off? I mean, do you want to just jump right into Black Lives Matter? I mean, our last guest, she understands their plight, so to speak, why they're doing what they're doing. I kind of get the idea behind it. I kind of support it because I do feel like at times you are the other. And it's not just always black people. Sometimes it's Native Americans out west. They're the other. And sometimes they need to have this attention brought to an issue. I mean, is there something fundamentally flawed with that line of thinking?
All right, well, let me explain to you the reason why I became an atheist. Because I hate collectivism and I hate dogmatic rules. And when you look at social justice and you look at Black Lives Matter, you look at a lot of these ideologies. Mm-hmm. I'm not calling them a religion, but it's very religious-esque. And let me explain to you in 5 points. All right. Point 1 is that there is no end game, right? It doesn't matter how good the conditions become. There will never not be a need for it, right? Mm-hmm. And that goes into the second point, is that like religion, they have to leech onto every single issue. For example, you look at what happened in Pride, Toronto. You look at what happened at the University of Missouri. You look at what happens across the country. Yeah. Take Black Lives Matter for example. Why the hell are they showing up to LGBT events? You're Black Lives Matter. You have nothing at all to do with that.
And I think now
Period.
I don't know if I agree with that. You know, what about intersectionalism on that?
That has if you call yourself Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
then worry about Black Lives Matter.
But if you're a black
Do not-
transgender, wouldn't that kind of overlap? Just questioning. That's all.
No, I mean it wouldn't because again, you don't show up to a basketball camp saying, you know what about baseball? No. If that's not your goal, if that is not your stated goal, then it's confusing as shit when you start showing up. And then whenever they show up, you tend to get this chaos. And let me give you a quick example with Pride Toronto. Mm-hmm. Do you know who Chuck Kringle is?
No, I don't.
No.
He is a gay police officer who wrote an open letter to Pride Toronto and Black Lives Matter because of their demands to basically remove police from Pride events. He's a gay police officer. Why would you do that? Or when you look at the University of Missouri, you had a girl go up on stage at a vigil for the Orlando shooting and tell people you can't understand something because you're white.
Now that I can agree to some extent. No, I don't mean agree with that. I mean, I can see why you're like, wait, what do you mean? Because why can't I acknowledge? Why can't I be empathetic? Why can't I blah? And it's like, it sounds like sometimes it is exclusionary. Like, unless you're absolutely fitting this exact mold, you have zero clue.
The progressive stack.
Right?
That's pretty much what it is. But the thing is that, again, if you're going to have a group with stated goals, focus on your stated goals. If you are telling me constantly there is racism, you're telling me constantly that there are systematic oppression. If you're telling me that all the time and it's based on race, and if that's such a huge issue, leave it to those groups. They don't need your help. They're actually been improving their status. And like Chuck Kringle said in later interviews, I feel like Black Lives Matter has taken some groups backwards. All right. Mm-hmm. And who are we to actually question him? The thing is that, again, when you have to constantly leech yourself onto other movements and this whole intersectionality thing, I feel it's like basically a cop out. It's just a blanket excuse. If I have stated goals, I focus on those stated goals. I do not deviate from those goals. That's called having conviction.
Now, I gotta say, and I think, Adam, you remember, Avery kind of has this attitude too, does she not?
Yeah.
When she had to pick a cause. She has that kind of a view too.
She does. And I really don't know what the difference is between yours and hers are at the moment. To me, I'm a 40-year-old white dude who's just trying to be a humanist and jump right behind who's being. It's more than obvious to me the media influxes shit, but at the same time, I can logically see that black lives are being targeted, and I don't know. I mean, maybe you've got some more insight than what I've seen.
Right. Well, here's the things I'm going to say that might upset some people, but the thing is about the truth is that it tends to do that. Yeah. In case you haven't noticed, if you've ever worked at a funeral home, you ever worked in a prison, you've ever been a cop, you've ever been a teacher, you've ever been a counselor, you know that sometimes the truth can hurt people.
Right.
All right. So when it comes to the idea of systematic oppression, what I'm willing to concede is that some people go through things. Do I agree that it is racism? I'm not convinced. And let me give you an example of how people can misinterpret things. So there's an act in this country called the BEPA Act, right? Mm-hmm. It's meant to help children of color get adopted easier or get adopted more often, right? It was enacted it was signed into federal law by Bill Clinton, right? And people thought that there were white people who are the majority of the adopting parents across the country. They thought that they weren't adopting children of color because they're children of color. Well, that's bullshit, and let me demonstrate why. The reason why you're getting people adopting so many white kids in this country is because there are more white people. When you have a higher population, you are going to have more chances for infants. People are more willing to adopt infants and very young children versus teenagers, right? So when you go across and overseas, the number one country that is actually adopted out of is China. So you mean somebody to tell me these same racist Klan members who don't want to adopt children of color are adopting Chinese children at record numbers? Really? Really? That's not racism. People just jump on the racism for everything, and it's sickening. It's sickening. It's like, do you even research? Do you even research? No.
I try to.
I mean, it's so baffling. Again, I think one of the biggest problems with my community is that we have an unwillingness to deal with our own issues, and we are so willing to blame other people for our issues. Case in point, and again, when it comes to buzzwords and throwing out sexism, racism, homophobia, and everything else, buzzwords. If I were to say we need to do something about single parenthood in our community, because when you look at the vast majority of our worst criminals, they come from single parent homes. We all know this. You know, even the American League of Pediatrics, say they've even said it. All right, our government has said it. We all know this. I worked in a freaking Department of Juvenile Justice. I can tell you this for a fact. That is true from juvenile justice to adult corrections. So when I look at that, and I look at the high rate of child abuse in our community, people will automatically say that I'm a traitor to my own race. I'm a coon. But I also raise another point. I look at our black men and I say, you guys have to step up. You have to step up. And as a stay-at-home father, I have every right to say that. Every right in the world to say that. Because my father walked out on me. And the last time I checked, it wasn't a Klan member who actually escorted him out the fucking door. He did that. Okay? That's not systematic oppression. That is self-inflicted on our community for the most part.
Deep subject with that, man. Yeah. But I understand what you're saying.
On top of that, I made another point. I said black men. So I got on black men. Let's talk about black women. Now, when you look at child abuse, who's the majority of our child abusers? I just said the majority of people who are our most violent offenders were actually abused as children. Who is the majority of our child abusers, according to the CDC?
Probably women.
Women. And people try to confuse that, say, well, women are the majority. They did it by percentage. They took every single father, every single mother, and they compared those two factors together. So no. You will not get that cop out. Okay? Women play a role in some of the most fucked up things in our society. All right? And men are taking the huge amount of blame for it, and in some cases, rightfully so. It always amazes me whenever I bring that up. I'm called a misogynist. It's the fucking truth. I will post stats. I will post charts. I will post citations. I will give you citation after citation after citation. There have been YouTubers with hundreds of thousands of subscribers who have come to me and says, you are the king of citations. Even when I speak the truth, I'm a sexist.
Why do you think do you think there are mitigating circumstances that cause women to be more of an abuser, or is it just percentiles don't lie? I mean, there should be an equal number of men and women on the planet, 50-50.
But is it an equal number of men and women in the home in charge of the kids?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Are we talking about a preponderance of single mother homes where the stress leads to women abusing children more than in a two-parent family? I mean, are there mitigating circumstances for this number that you're citing?
Right. Well, there are. I can immediately think of a lot of factors. One is postpartum depression. All right, and when they actually did all those number crunches and all those tabulations, they actually included those numbers too. And I'm willing to give women somewhat of a pass, because that I think that we need to do better about identifying those people and helping them. I really do, because if it's something that's chemical, what can you do?
I see what you're saying, because I live just south of Kentucky, and I can go into any goddamn Walmart around here, and I can see some white people go the fuck off on kids, especially single moms that are hauling around 3 or 4 kids. It's almost a slideshow. But still, at the same time, I understand that the system is set against men in general.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all.
But you okay? We'll continue on.
Well, what I'm saying is that, again, people love to do the whole oppression Olympics. You know, they want to do the 500 meter dash of oppression. They want to do the high jump of, you can't tell me about my lived experience. They want to do the basketball hoop of sexism. They want to do the football kick of transphobia. There's always
want to pull the
oppression
card
Olympics.
that the system's always against them.
Right, and there are people, I would say, don't seem to realize that the world is fucked up. And I use an analogy that I came up with that people actually like. You know, imagine Captain Planet not being Captain Planet. Imagine Captain Planet being Captain Fuckery. We are all bucketeers. We let our powers combine, and we did this. So whenever you seem to think that one gender or one race did that, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. We all did this, and you know it's always baffling when I bring that up, and everyone knows it's true. You know, everyone knows it's true. You know, like someone will sit back and say, you know, well, men are raping all these women, and I agree. There's a lot of rape. You know, I agree that. But then I'm asking the question, well, who's raising the fucking rapist?
Yeah.
You're right.
You know, who's raising
That's
them?
gender roles.
You know?
Well, I live just south of Kentucky, and everybody will tell you it's all the Mexicans because Donald Trump said so.
Fucking Donald Trump. Leave him out of this. I'm so sick of that bastard.
God. Oh, I'm gonna need me a cigarette.
So break it down. Hey man, break it down. What is your general opinion and influx of? Is it a positive thing or is it not? As far as Black Lives Matter movement,
Black Lives Matter had a good original premise. If they were just protesting things that were happening in terms of police brutality, I would be behind them. But they don't. They focus on Black lives, and like I told them when the Charleston shooting happened. I asked one of the protesters a question. I said, where the hell were you when North Charleston led the fucking nation in homicides? Where were you? Where were you? 8 to 9 people get shot in Charleston every damn weekend.
Yeah.
Where are you? I don't need you here when a shooter happens to be white.
Yeah, I was kind of curious.
I don't
was
need
thinking
you
to
here
myself that I was wondering why the hell they were hanging out at the side of the Republican National Convention.
Again, the whole point of what I'm saying is that Black Lives Matter to me. So I got to look at who is the single largest demographic killing Black lives. Look, let me explain this to you because I've noticed when I talk to a lot of people who are, I don't want to say it, on the left, they don't seem to get it. And it's just mental gymnastics. And I try to break it down.
I know
to
where
you.
you're going with this.
Listen,
statistically,
listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm saying, and listen to me carefully. I'm gonna say it slowly because I know that I stutter, so I'm gonna try to say it perfect. When you have an ant problem, you don't buy cockroach spray when you don't have cockroaches. You worry about the biggest problem to your community as it stands, and you focus on that problem. I'm not saying you ignore the other problems. What I'm saying is there has to be a hierarchy. If you know that, statistically speaking, I am safer around a police officer than I am around my own fellow black people sometimes. Not all times, but sometimes. Same with any other race. What is it that makes someone think they should not make that a priority? All right? So when you go through the streets marching, Black Lives Matter, what do we want? Dead cops. What do we want them now? And yes, that march had over 5,000 people. That is not some small,
right.
No, 5,000 people. That's a lot of goddamn people. Or marching in the streets yelling, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. Okay, when you're doing that kind of stuff, and you're not focusing on the problems within your own community, well, then it doesn't shock me that we don't solve shit. It doesn't shock me.
Well, I'd like to go back for a minute to your ant analogy, if you don't mind.
Right.
You said when you have an ant problem, you don't buy cockroach spray. If you were in a position where you can't afford the ant spray and you have cockroach spray in your house, you use the cockroach spray. You use what you have. Huh? So don't you think that right now Black Lives Matter is using what they have at hand? You know, they don't have access to just perfectly compartmentalized picketing and perfectly compartmentalized everything. They have to work with transgender people and LGBT people to get their point across. I mean, you brought that up earlier, and I just think, I don't know. it all has to work together.
Well, all right, I'm going to back up and say this. It's kind of like the, and this is what I'm kind of thinking, what he's kind of proposing here, Dion. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It's kind of like the people, the government in North Carolina who are targeting transgenders or the LGBT community about bathroom use because they're scared of where their kids might be
Get
assaulted.
him started on that.
But,
oh my God.
but at the same time, there's no stats that even support that that's what's happening. That most of that happens through, a relative or, further on down the line, some other aspects. But they're mistargeting what they're doing. Is that correct?
That you are definitely on the right track. I have my own criticisms about that whole thing because quite frankly, as much as you guys don't like Trump, even Trump said, this is like a non-issue. So even Trump said it. I was shocked with that. I really was. Like I actually watched the video clip. He said, I just don't care.
Yeah, but I'm just saying as a humanist that I try to be, that's what you're going with that. It's the same concept, is it not? That people are mistargeting their actual problem. That
and people are creating a problem to perpetuate their own existence.
Gotcha.
And by that I mean this. That was the other point about comparing this to a religion. So you have sins of the father, basically, right? You have people, and it's always filled with cognitive dissonance. And my brother, who is, and I know you probably don't like this term, he's full SJW. Full SJW. My God. Me and him have gone at it a lot, right? But the one point that I got him to agree on, when it comes to sins of the father, it is nonsense. Basically, this whole idea that white people have oppressed people throughout history, fine, cool, great. We understand it. We get it. There's roots. There's homicide. There's every other. I get it. I am the direct descendant of a freaking slave. I know my history. I understand that. But the problem when it comes to those discussions is that it just stops there. Let's go all the way back to Africa. Okay, what kind of culture that didn't already have slaves would have people en masse selling their own people? We already know there are more slaves in Africa than there were ever in America. And the other point that I want to make is these people, they will happily admit, like the Afrocentric people, the Hoteps, Black Lives Matter, even some evolutionists,
and the Pan-African movement, right? The Pan-Africanism. Huh? Have you heard of the Pan-Africanism movement?
The Uhuru movement.
Is that what it's officially called? I don't know. So
the Pan-African movement. There's that, and then there's the Uhuru movement.
Yeah.
Trust me, you do not want to drink that Kool-Aid. But they are worse than Hoteps. They are 10 times worse than freaking Hoteps. I'm telling you. When you look at Africa, right? As a continent, most people are willing to admit that life for humans most likely started there, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem with that. Are you just admitting that life mostly, in terms of human life, most likely had actually started there? Or are you just saying all the actions that humans take? I mean, which one is it? Which one do you distinguish? Because wouldn't that also mean that maybe, just maybe, some of the misogyny that we're seeing, some of the misandry that we're seeing, some of the racism that we're seeing, some of the tribalism that we're seeing, some of that stuff that we're seeing back then could be a reflection of what is now. So again, I tell people, be very careful when you want to bring up history, because people like me know history.
Well, I mean, it's still going on today in certain parts of Africa as well, as far as slavery goes. Especially, was it Republic of Marquesas and
the Democratic Republic of Congo?
Yeah. Because I used to have to be a taxi girl at a stand. I had to dispatch taxis, and of course, a lot of folks, when they come over the boat to immigrate, as soon as they get here, they get a license so they can run a taxi cab. And I can't tell you how many arguments there were of, if we weren't where we are now, you would be my slave. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had to break up along that mentality. And I think culturally, I get why they have that mentality over there still, because of the tribalism and what. But I think when we're looking at history, there's still some genetic hardwiring anyway. There is a predisposition to set ourselves apart from others who at least appear different, who have cultures different than us, whether we want to or not. Right. I think, what do they call that? Aversive racism, I think is what it is, technically. Not reverse, folks. Aversive. There's a difference.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that concept, but go ahead.
Well, it's new. I know it's only been out for like 20 years, and they're looking at the idea that while we go out of our way to make sure we're not repeating past actions that divide or, a racist kind of we're better than superior because of our whiteness or our blackness or our, our Asian or Mongolian influences. But the idea is that we're still subconsciously, though, showing preference, even though we don't.
Preference is not racism.
But that's how people are purporting it nowadays. And I wonder, how do you get people to understand the difference?
It's kind of like this. I have to explain it to people. If you were to have someone, on a dating site, right, who says, I don't want to date black men, does that make them racist?
I've been called racist before because I didn't want to date a guy, and he assumed it was because he was black, and that's the first thing he said.
Well, the thing is that again, I see skin color as being not inherently different than your body size or your height or the way you look or how long your arms are.
But you're not colorblind, right?
I wouldn't say colorblind, but I would say color is just another attribute that doesn't demonstrate who you are. All right, the same way that your height does it, the same way that your gender does it. It doesn't demonstrate who you are.
But does it not apply to your identity though, on some level?
It shouldn't have to. That's the world in which I want to build, where such things are basically irrelevant. But
that takes away from your genetics and history, not necessarily focusing on the slavery and oppression, but doesn't that take away from your history a little bit?
Listen to what I said.
Uh-huh.
What I said was, again, those things are irrelevant. That doesn't mean that you actually forget them,
Well, what does irrelevant mean then if you make it irrelevant?
Make it irrelevant in that the way people see you, that doesn't speak for you. Right?
Oh,
I could be the blackest, darkest man in the world and skateboard, listen to rock music. I could like Nickelback, even though
Don't do it.
That was a low ball shot, man, but that was hilarious.
but that doesn't take away from who I am.
Right.
Because I'm dark. Again, the amazing part is that people don't seem to realize that the more you hang on to. Let me put it another way. I say to black people, if your only skill in life is being black, you failed. That does not speak for who you are.
Oh, yes.
Be your own person.
Yes. The pride movement, as far as being prideful for what you've accomplished, not because of who you are or born to be.
Yeah, that's again, I'm a big fan of George Carlin, and even George Carlin said it. He's like, be happy to be who you are. Don't be proud of it.
Right.
You haven't done anything to actually accomplish anything. I was born black, but there was no effort in that. There was no effort in that.
Yeah.
Again, I think the main problem is that you have people now who are clinging to this so badly, and they are drawing lines in the sand, and they are doing it because they figure because of their skin color, because of their gender, because of if they're transgender. They figure that them being those things puts them beyond reproach. Like, for example, I'll give you another example. When you have people like Steve Shives showing up, people hate Steve Shives. And there's a reason for that. If you watch one of his videos, he's literally describing men who go to the 4chan subreddits, describing them as bitching and moaning because they got an unfair divorce settlement or they don't get to see their kids. Why would an atheist male want to show up to the same event that he showed up to? No, yeah. I'm not coming there. Yeah. I'm not coming there. You got people like that who are supporting social justice. It's not the idea that's the problem. It's the people. We hate the people. Bottom line is.
And you know what? This is where we should go to the next step up. Let's address these police shootings, because your attitude is, from what I perceive, that it's ineptness, it's bad training, I see it ultimately it's a flawed system, the way the laws are applied unequally, and the training is like for reaction, not interaction. They're sending these guys out thinking it's a war zone when actually these guys are going to be creating a war zone. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally do. The police are completely trained to basically not trust anybody that they talk to.
But do you think
I also think that it has something to do with the fact that any Joe Blow off the street can pay $2,600 and go through police academy, and now they're a police officer. And I just don't think that that's enough training. I think that there needs to be more, that there needs to be 4 years of college and psychology and all these other things added to the training.
Yeah, like that's going way too far. I don't think someone needs 4 years of college. Again, because when you start adding college to more jobs, college, all you're going to do is drive up the student loan debt. And then what's going to happen as a domino effect? Now the police officer is stressed out because he can't pay these freaking student loan debts because in a whole lot of places, the criminals make more than the actual, the officers.
Well, what would be the cure then? If education's not the cure,
I don't think there is necessarily a quick fix or a cure. What I would suppose is that our police officers not become the military, but at least adopt the military's rules of engagement.
I've been arguing this
at least
for
adopt that.
Years.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I say. If as
so
a
basically
soldier,
don't fire until you're fired upon.
It's a little more than that.
Not so much. If someone presents a weapon and points it at you, then you can shoot them. Or if someone fires at you, then you fire at them. But if those conditions have not been satisfied, you don't fire.
I agree.
And I understand that there's a whole lot of scenarios that can change things. Like if someone has a freaking knife, or someone is a trained martial artist, or someone, okay. Let's say, for example, you ran into someone like, I don't know, Jet Li. You are not going to use a fucking taser against him. He's going to beat your ass like straight every time. So I understand that sometimes extreme situations call for extreme measures. What I don't want to happen is another Dallas where we use
that caught you too, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That goddamn Terminator started showing up in Texas. Who would have thought it?
I try to explain to people. I say I understand why they did it from the standpoint of this guy had mount training. This guy was an expert shooter.
Yeah, he was ambushing police around columns. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand that they could not wait him out because I've seen soldiers from Fort Bragg who have been in combat situations where they've been injured and they are sitting around still fighting and they'll be laying in the freaking shade for like 3 days straight with like no food and no water. And they still survive. So you cannot wait out somebody like that. We all have training, but we can wait out. You know what I'm saying? So waiting them out, come on, man. You're going to shut down an entire city or a whole city block?
Like Bruce Willis's movie, The Siege. Oh, hell no. That won't fly in Texas.
I understand that, but I just don't think we should start using drones.
It's wonders.
I'm not comfortable
how
with
far
that,
is it going to go? I mean, I look at that and I'm thinking, this is something I think Adam and I agreed on last time we were speaking on this. I think, and maybe you might agree, is this racism or is this guy that did what he did in Dallas? Is this guy who was somebody that was radicalized by politics?
Well, I think that it was a combination of both. Now, let me go ahead and say something real quick. Is that the one thing that will infuriate me if someone says he wasn't a part of Black Lives Matter? I proved that in my own video. I actually had someone who was pro Black Lives Matter actually comment on my video and said, you know what? You got a point. Here's my ultimate proof. Kate, later on, contact me on Facebook. I will send you an archive link of Micah Xavier Johnson's Facebook page. When you look at all the pages that he actually liked, a lot of them were Black Lives Matter pages, okay? For one. Two, you go down lower, there's a rapper there by the name of David Banner. Okay, David Banner. I have a problem with David Banner, and I dislike David Banner, and I think David Banner inspired that shooting, and here's my proof.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may not realize this, but some mammals actually do have something called a penis bone. And tonight, since it's episode 69, we couldn't let the episode get by us without a little something about the penis.
Oh,
and we're
dear
going
God.
to talk about contused, contorted, and otherwise confused penises tonight.
Yes!
Yay!
Trying to lighten this shit up.
I know, we do need to lighten up. And our inspiration for tonight's episode goes out to Dennis Rodman, who gave us very graphically details in a video he produced for YouTube about how he broke his penis 3 separate times and all the blood involved.
I know.
And one of the times included him flying across the room to try to enter a vagina. And all I can imagine is naked Dennis Rodman flying across the room with his penis flapping in the wind.
And it's like, it's like the worst kind of slam dunk contest I could ever think of.
I
Okay.
know.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was just like, no. You don't play the submarine dive game with vaginas, let alone with your dick. I was always worried about my vagina getting injured. Lo and behold, it can, like, break a cock.
Yeah. You can... What it is penises have these 2 tubular pieces that run along the side that fill up with blood whenever the penis gets erect. And if you break it, you actually tear one of those balloon sacs open.
Stop.
And
You're about to kill me here.
Hold on, though. But what about the popping and cracking sound that's like actual tissue tearing?
yeah.
We love you, Adam.
Oh my God. This is the point where we'll be able to look on our stats and notice a significant drop in viewers and male callers.
Well, wait, there's more. There is a thing called saxophone penis, where you can get a bacteria in your penis, and it can cause it to swell
wait
up
a minute.
and twist.
Wait. God damn. I mean, seriously? We went from breaking dicks down to bacteria and dicks. I mean, can we not focus on one fucking dick at a time?
Enlighten us. Tell us about breaking a dick. Because how many, I mean, us ladies on our receiving end, you're in the middle of that rhythm. It hurts like hell when you guys flip out a little bit and, like, punch us in the perineum instead of the glove.
I would imagine it probably feels the same way, maybe times 2. I don't know. It's up there with being kicked right in the nads.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it hurts that bad.
How do you keep going back into stroke? Like, endorphins are working to, like, just keep at it, or?
Oh, hell no. That one time it happened to me, I was too busy on the floor just crying.
Oh my gosh. Did you break it?
Did it bleed?
No. Oh my God, so many questions about my dick.
We love you. Share.
Well, Dennis Rodman said there was blood everywhere, and the chick thought, yeah.
It bruised. I had a bruise on the right side and slightly hooked to the left for a while. And, but I didn't have, like, any blood coming out or anything like that. And they were swelling, and it took about 6 weeks, but after that it was fine.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
6 weeks? Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That's like post-baby no sex.
or do you just bear with it and do it anyway?
Man, I'm telling you, this is my South Florida days, so there was some shit going on in my system. I mean, this wasn't a nice after meal type situation. This was probably some hardcore shit as it was.
Oh wow, that was a spoiler then, huh?
You're a freak. You give us hell all the time about being freaks. You're the biggest freak on here.
No. Well, you might be right because Joe's not on here. Okay, now you can go on with your damn bacteria story, Sharon.
Well, there's more. There's this thing called a needlefish that can swim up in your
pink tube.
It's actually a type of catfish. Actually, I know about that.
And
I've not experienced that, but I've seen it on TV and read about
it.
Well, it thinks your urethra is a gill from a fish that it can, like, parasite off of. Anyway, it gets up inside your urethra and blows up like a blowfish with all these spines on its back. And
it's like a tick.
Yeah,
it's a very, very small fish. In fact, the adult ones are barely half an inch long. And they have heat treat. They don't see normal color or vision. They actually only see heat, like some pit vipers on snakes.
So predator, predator shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's the way they see.
That.
And that's why they go. That's why they follow like little spots of urine, and they will crawl up in through your bathing suit and go jump right on in. And once they go in, you got to cut them out.
Oh, and that's why it's like, remember a while back we were talking about how much stuff is just in a drop of sea or pond water? Remember that, Sharon?
Yeah, I remember that.
And guys were like, oh yeah, baby, maybe we should just say, you don't know I can swim up your cock. We just won't tell them it's in the Amazon and hope they don't know. Right?
Yeah.
Because this is like horrible. You know, I mean, and you look at how guys can like injure themselves. I mean, I know it's a muscle. I know you can injure it. I've never, but like, apparently, if you have blood, it's probably because you've torn your urethra. Painful.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't imagine as a woman if our urethra was torn. Other than even from labor, you know, the stretch.
Yeah.
And it's very uncomfortable for a couple of weeks. At least for me, it was. It's just like I couldn't imagine that tearing though.
I just have the picture of
you're
a.
hurting me again.
That's not me. Don't worry, it's mutual. I'm just like, oh.
I have that picture that was on the Men's Health article that we were looking at of the hot dog that'd been cut in half with blood coming out of it. It was.
I mean, it's like the things you guys can possibly do to yourself, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like there's this one called invaginated, and it's not like you're stuck in a vagina. It's literally called a trapped penis, where basically you smash it back into your body that it's trapped in like fatty tissue around your pelvis.
Oh.
You make your outie an innie, like you make your cock an innie. How do you do that?
And that happens most of the time during a botched circumcisions.
Winter does that for me.
Yeah, but it comes back out. With this one, I think it stays in. You don't have a choice.
Well, I'll tell you one thing though, man, Adam. I'm telling you now. When you get old enough and you have to like deal with prostate stuff, and if you get cancer, you better make sure they do that shit right, because apparently they can even fuck that up, and you piss out of your butt
and you poop out of your penis.
Oh my god. Okay, can we move the fuck on now?
Wait. We got to talk about the guy who
God damn it.
This is a positive thing.
Yes, this is something that a different Adam, I think, could take a pointer from. Haha, get it? Pointer.
If you get a tattoo on your penis, the possibility exists that you will be semi-hard for the rest of your life, all day, every day.
It's like a solution for whiskey dick, man.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that?
See? Oh, there it is. There it is.
A dude in Bangkok got his penis tattooed with his girlfriend's initials on it, and because the needle went too deep into his penis, it caused it to stay semi-rigid all day, every day.
For the rest of his life.
And for the rest of his life. And for the first, 4 to 6 weeks after he got the tattoo, he stayed hard all the time. He was like, yeah, I got it now. I'll keep it.
I mean, what place in life are you at when you decide, hey, I think it's time to tattoo my dick?
I know, right?
I've always thought it would be cool for a guy to get a tattoo on his penis.
Of a dollar bill?
That would, a dollar bill or something that would grow as his penis got harder.
An eel?
And that would be the shit.
I mean,
God damn. Welcome back to Unbuckling the Bible Belt. This is your co-host, Adam Fusen.
Cue the train wreck music.
God damn.
Cue the train wreck music. It just makes you wonder, though. I mean, how many men? Okay, so like women will talk back and forth all the time about experiences we've had with all kinds of vaginal problems during sex. I mean, we talk about that shit. We do. Not about your penis or what you did to us, but like how we feel and what we're experiencing. So like, do dudes ever talk about this shit? Have you ever heard anything that was just like ridiculously fucking, oh my God, you went through that from any of your friends?
No, dudes aren't really that open unless they're really, really close and good friends. But like, yeah, down here in the South, you're lucky to have one good friend. I've got a handful, and we can sit down and talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about without restrictions, without feeling like, oh, this might be a gay conversation. We can go there.
So it's like that ego machoism thing going on that kind of prevents your bonding.
Yeah, but I mean,
with body functions.
Yeah, I mean, we're not afraid to leave the limits of, oh, well, that's just stuff we shouldn't talk about.
So basically, you guys will talk about like crazy ass sex that was awesome.
Yes.
But if you have mishaps, you don't discuss it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have conversations about what type of booty accepts anal sex, and usually it's those really really round tushy ones that stick out a little bit more than they normally should. Those women like anal sex, but that's the kind of conversations we'll go into. I mean, and there's other aspects. What kind of women give the best head? Big girls. Big girls give the best damn head.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I've never had complaints. I'm tall. Does that count as big?
I don't know. Maybe.
Don't put your foot in. Just be careful.
Well, Adam, Sharon and I are just letting you know right now, you have comforting ears at your disposal if you ever are stressed out or just like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened to my cock this afternoon when I missed my goal?
If you ever need to talk about your latest cock contusion, I'm your girl.
We will do what we can to keep you pepped up and feeling good.
And if I'm happen to be in Nashville, I'll kiss it and make it better.
Oh shit. Okay, it's getting hot here, folks. Oh my. We're gonna move on now.
Now please bow your heads for the new atheist prayer. To the mortally created Father in heaven, I decided to forego your name. Your kingdom was false. Your will was non-existent on earth and even in the stories I heard of heaven. Every day I earn my family's bread. I work hard to have my wrongs forgiven, and hope I am shown compassion in return, as I show to everyone that has wronged me. I no longer let your promises lead me into irrational decisions, as I understand I only have myself to blame. Ramen.